Hello everyone, this is Javamonk, and welcome to episode 92 of the Survival Series. We're in the countdown once again, and today we are going to be dealing with this room, the map room. You see, I just actually went around and updated all of these maps here that relate in some way to all the area that we've covered with the mansion, and yeah, the mansion is tiny on this map. The Sky Village takes over an entire map. The Eye of Sauron is insanely huge. It's also updated the fact that we removed the Ice Highway from last episode, and also all the different floating islands that are just scattered across the landscape. So, today, in this episode, I hope to finish up this map wall. The entirety of it. It should be a totally filled-in area. But before we go off on this huge adventure with a cartography table, maps and paper and empty maps, let's read up the limericks and haikus. Here is our haiku. I think haikus suck. In 17 syllables, 18 would be good. Okay. And our limerick is, my dog is quite hip, who had such a terrible stutter. I will do it, I say, with a terrible fright. But I can he? Okay, that's a big mashup of multiple things. So, something special I'm going to do while I'm mapping this area out is I'm actually going to do a voice-over time-lapse. So, I hope this time-lapse is going well, because, well, we have Optifine installed, finally. So, this should be relatively easy. I'm not holding out too much hope, though, because chunk loading is still a huge issue. Okay, I gathered some questions from various people across various messaging platforms. These are mainly questions from some people who know me, some who don't, and I picked out the most interesting ones. So, first question. Why have you continued the twice-a-month upload schedule? So, the time crisis has ended, but I decided to stick to the twice-a-month schedule because it increased the quality. Since I'm not in a time crunch to make a new video every week, the quality of each video has drastically improved. You no longer see desperate attempts on my channel to keep the weekly schedule going. I'm no longer forced to do 30-minute challenges, which allows me to do more in each episode. In the future with other series, I'm hoping to continue this twice-a-month upload schedule. But I'm not going to make any promises. College classes are soon going to take over, and in cases where I'm in a time crunch, unfortunately, studying is going to take priority. Next question. Why are you so far behind with the news and updates? So, I record these videos really far ahead. This video will be coming out at around September time, but I'm recording it in June. This is intentional, so I can continue to make high-quality videos. And this is kind of an unrelated question, but I do reference the answer to this later on. So, what TV shows have you been watching lately? So, I don't watch much television. However, I've started really getting into this show called The Orville. It's kind of like Star Trek Next Generation, but more realistic. The crew is much more diverse. For example, one of the central crew members is a literal pile of goo. The results are more realistic, and each episode brings self-reflection and conversation galore. I would absolutely recommend it, and it's soon going to have a third season at the time of this recording. So going back to the time and timing of the videos, this question is, I guess, rather timely. So, the question is, why don't you talk about politics or current events? So, it's not just because I'm uploading way ahead of schedule. The issue is relevance, especially when it comes to politics. 5 years from now, any reference to politics would make no sense. For example, if I were to make a joke about how I saw Theresa May at IKEA the other day looking for a new cabinet, the reference required to make that joke work would be outdated in 5 years, or even in a few months when this video is actually published. That's why I only reference big trends and updates to Minecraft, since those are less likely to lose relevance. I am aware that episode 50 kind of broke that rule, but that might have been future Javamonk failing on his research again. After all, he did kill a bunch of my cats in episode 84 due to entity cramming. I'm still bitter about that. Next question. What's your opinion of the current political situation? Oh boy, this is more opinion stuff. And I do not care to share my opinion publicly, plus it'll probably be outdated for the reasons I just listed. If you want to know, ask me privately, and only if you are willing to be civil. This next question is rather loaded. So, the question is, what's your opinion of the latest developments in space travel, smartphones, self-driving cars, and AI? Wow, that's a lot to unpack with that question. So, first, space travel. Recent news for me is that SpaceX has working Crew Dragon rockets to send astronauts to the International Space Station. And also, NASA is working on going to the moon. For both, my reaction is, it's about time. I am happy to see that finally people figured out that going to the moon is a good first step to going to Mars. And, since the plan is to build a colony on the moon, it absolutely must have a swimming pool. Yes, it's childish, but reverse diving and jumping out of the water like a dolphin are things you can do pretty easily in moon gravity. And that's why I support the efforts 100%. Next, smartphones. I like Apple phones. I recently traded my iPhone 6 SE for an iPhone XS. I'm okay with the change, but I'm not okay with the fact that I was forced to make that change. Forced mainly because of battery life. iPhones are practically indestructible, and the batteries can be charged and recharged enough to last a lifetime. I don't like the fact that the battery life is intentionally throttled down to force exchanges. I might be more okay with it if all the materials were recycled in an efficient way. Next up, self-driving cars. Honestly, I welcome the driverless cars with open arms. In fact, humans should be banned from driving entirely. As for the quote-unquote leisurely afternoon drives, I think a joystick to control turns will work just fine. I hope to live to see the times when car crashes are so infrequent that they make as much news as UFO spottings. And on a similar note, artificial intelligence, or AI. I think the debate over AI is really over sentience. The thing is, I try my best to treat my devices well. Who knows? One day I might serve as an example of decency when the robots make their decision on whether to annihilate us or send us away in Star Trek spaceships. Or in terms of references to the Orville, whether or not we become Kalon. As for AI taking our jobs, they're forcing humanity to reconsider what exactly jobs are and how money works. Maybe that's a good thing. Who knows? Next question. What's your opinion of the latest Minecraft updates? See, by now, you can probably tell from the time-lapse that this is pretty laggy. And this is actually what this question is addressing. So, by latest, I'm assuming you mean 1.13 and 1.14. I really like the content of the updates. Tridents are awesome, crouching mechanics, villager mechanics, it's all super cool. Each new update makes the world livelier and has so much content that I'm forced to learn totally new things. I love that, and I can't wait to see what's next. In fact, I am very sad to say that the side effects of 1.13 and 1.14 updates have been forcing me to take a more pessimistic approach to future updates. And no, I don't mean the piston and observer mechanics that forces people like El Mango to redesign everything. I don't deal enough with that side of Redstone to see much of a difference. I'm talking about the lag that is so visible in this time-lapse and in recent videos. I really think that the Mojang team shot themselves in the foot by not making an update that was purely under-the-hood fixes. And now, with 1.14, even Optifine is not enough to keep my computer from sounding like a jet engine every time I walk around the mansion. Now, I don't have a high-end computer by any stretch of the imagination, and the mansion is not exactly lag optimized. I mean, this computer is a 5-year-old laptop that's not even a gaming laptop. Even so, it's kind of ridiculous that I'm forced to do things like jumping into creative mode to fill out the map wall because chunk loading causes issues with Elytra. You've probably seen that in the time-lapse right now. Sure, moon jumping with Elytra is cool, but not when you moon jump off an moon jump off an invisible mountain into the void, later gliding gently to the ground and then taking a billion hearts of fall damage for no reason. See, at first I tried to combat this by giving myself infinite resistance because I just didn't feel like taking damage from unfair circumstances like this. I'm okay with dying to a creeper, but not when that creeper blows up in the middle of a massive lag spike that makes me die 10 minutes after the explosion. So walking around with infinite resistance eventually gave way to just filling out the maps in creative mode. Even then, ugh. You have no idea how frustrating this time-lapse was to make. Now, I don't want to senselessly complain about updates, so I have a few suggestions, which I actually posted to the Reddit community for Minecraft suggestions. So, here they are in the video. And these are suggestions coming from the fact that I know how Java programming works. My main plea is to make an update for Java Edition that's nothing but small fixes that helps everybody. Things like chunk loading, lag removing, engine rewriting, and major bug squashing. In my opinion, big things like the flattening, and the texture change, and the light engine rewrite, as well as the sound engine rewrite, should not be lumped in with total revamps to gameplay mechanics. Those big changes would probably get better praise if they were lumped into one major update. Those aforementioned problems need fixing, and they could probably use the same treatment as the major updates have been getting. Maybe that same update can include changes to things like commands, NBT, data packs, and other small things. And from what I've been hearing on the Reddit forums r/Minecraft and r/Minecraft commands, I think Bedrock Edition could use an update like this as well. It would be a good way for Mojang to take a breather before making more and better than ever content. Okay, I'm going to move away from some of the overly opinionated and very touchy subjects to cover this question, things like, why don't you show your face? And I do in live streams. So, and speaking of live streams, there's the question, why haven't you done live streams in a while? Apparently somebody's a fan of live streams. So, these live streams take a lot of planning and are incredibly exhausting. The next live stream I do, which might have already happened by the time this is published, will be playing my adventure map. So, here's kind of a heavy hitter. This question, what happened to the mod making series? So, yeah, the mod making series is in a bit of a crisis. I started making episode 4, which, spoiler alert, is all about the dimensions, like bringing mobs in, filling them with ores, and other things. But then I stopped. I then realized my problem. The mod making videos are boring to me. I've always subscribed to the idea that as a YouTuber, you should make content that you would want to watch. Oddly, I enjoy Tango Tech's mods and mod making series, but I don't like my own modded videos. So the issue is that I haven't figured out how to make the mod making series interesting. And at the moment, I'm finding the survival series and adventure map series more interesting and fun to make and watch. Alright, now for some sillier questions. So, I'm actually going to handle 2 questions at once. Question 1, can you do a backflip? Question 2, can you do a handstand? The answer is no and no. In real life, I am practically a giant, but I'm like the least nimble person in the world. Unless I'm dancing, then I'm told that I'm the life of the party. On a similar note, this question, do you run? And no. Fun fact, I'm also the least athletic person in the world. Next question, why don't you do vlogs? And simple answer, because I find gaming videos much more fun. Here's an interesting question. Do you have a song stuck in your head right now? And yes, I do. I'll even sing it for you, so we can share the pain. Brass monkey, that funky monkey. Brass monkey junkie, that funky monkey. It goes like that on repeat. It's especially bad because I hate that song, and I hate that whole style of music. It is an assault on my ears. Very strong opinion. I'm sorry. So, next question is a bit odd. It's this person wrote, "Ah, you changed the no textures!" Followed by it looking like the person smashed their face into their keyboard. And that's not exactly a question, but I'll address the textures anyway. The way I see it, I'm not very good at designing things, so I don't care enough about the texture change to have an opinion. It's not a big deal to me. So these next questions are mainly about gaming and kind of my past. So this question, have you tried insert game here? Lots of people are asking this question, so I'm answering all of them at once. With the answer is, likely not, and I'm not currently interested in playing that game. Shoot 'em up games are not my cup of tea, I'm too nice. Also, I don't know any other game as non-restricting as Minecraft. In fact, challenge for you guys, name me a game where you can build an Eye of Sauron with a working eye beam, and then immediately afterwards make a giant elevator by exploiting mechanics, and then building a resource farm that exploits a bunch of bugs that are now so prevalent that were they to be fixed, it would ruin the experience for a lot of people. And then bring in my own future self. And oh, also be able to 3D print a giant island. Oh, and also move an entire generated structure across the landscape. Yeah. So, speaking of gaming, this next question is, what other games have you played? So, funny enough, my first quote-unquote game was Google Earth. I would explore the world all the time. Later on, I got really into Age of Empires 2, which, by the way, is where the "whoa" sound for evokers come from. I mainly enjoyed the structure building aspect. And at around the same time, I got really into Zuma and Zuma Deluxe. After the only game in my home that could run Age of Empires basically blew itself up, and I tried to design a level in Zuma Deluxe and ended up corrupting the game files, I started playing Wizard 101. My appeal in that quickly faded after I was forced to pay to continue. After that, I started playing Plants vs. Zombies, the original version. I would play for hours on end, to the point where I could beat the levels while looking in a mirror and a hand tied behind my back. Plants vs. Zombies 2 actually kind of ruined the fun for me. In my opinion, there's too many currencies to keep track of, and the levels are too difficult. But the phase-based Dr. Zomboss battles in Plants vs. Zombies 2 are what inspired the Killer Bunny boss battle in the adventure map. So I guess I can't complain too much. I discovered Minecraft in its update 1.7.10, and I've been playing ever since. And yes, I understand that makes me a new player by many people's standards, because I started playing after the update that changed the world. And going back to updates, somebody asked me, what's your opinion of the 1.9 combat mechanics? Hoo boy. Well, it's a very touchy subject, so this will probably anger a lot of people. And my answer is, I never was that great at combat, so the mechanics actually helped me a lot. I'm now so used to these mechanics that I don't understand the complaints about it destroying PvP. It made combat less of a game of who can click the fastest, and because the winner of that game would be anybody with an auto-clicker program. Seriously, why are people so upset by this? Next question is also about my past and how I got here to essentially to episode 92 of the survival series on YouTube. So, question, how did you get so good at Redstone? Well, I'm not that good. I watched Generic B's Redstone Academy series to get started in learning Redstone. Then I built Tango Tech's Iron Trench. That farm is what got me to study Redstone. So after copying other people's Redstone designs, I eventually figured out how to make the Redstone do what I wanted it to do. And at that time, I was just making very small modifications to other people's designs. And I only really started making serious original contraptions when I made my first video. That first video is a course plant farm tutorial, which is actually not on YouTube anymore. It was made before the Javamonk channel existed. I might upload it here eventually. Just as here's where I started. You guys let me know if you want that kind of video. Next question. It's actually rather sad. It's kind of heart-wrenching. What did your first survival world look like? And I wish I could show you. I created it before I knew how seeds worked, and the computer hosting that world essentially puked on itself, destroying all of my original worlds, and a super duper old version of my adventure map, which actually had a moon that was hollow by accident. MC Edit accident. Yeah, back when MC Edit was a thing. It also destroyed my first Redstone test world. And actually, I've so far suffered 2 world wipes, but the second one was not as catastrophic. It had a survival world and a test world where I first discovered slime block flying machines and command blocks. However, each set of worlds had a petting zoo, and I 100% plan to showcase the latest iteration in a video at some point. Unfortunately, that video had custom presets, so it does not include the new mobs from 1.13 and 1.14. Speaking of Minecraft worlds, this question is, how many worlds do you have / actively play on? And those are 2 very different questions. Firstly, in my saves folder, I have 97 worlds, some of which date back to 2016. I actively play on a small handful of them. Let's see, I have the Survival Series world, the YouTube Survival Series world, the Adventure Map world, the Test world, and some other worlds for testing whatever large redstone contraption I'm working on at the time. I actually have a few other survival worlds that I abandoned for various reasons. I might tour some of them in the future. These next questions have to do with kind of my identity and who I am as a YouTuber, and what I do as a YouTuber. So this question, why don't you cuss? The answer, because this is a family-friendly channel, and I intend to keep it that way. Saying crap doesn't count as cussing. So, the way I'm basing this, whether or not to what I consider cussing and not, the way I consider it is, if a channel like Game Theory bleeps out a word, I won't even say it. So, next question, why don't you play on servers like Hypixel? And, in my opinion, they are repetitive. I would not want to watch someone playing the same minigames over and over again, so I don't make those videos. I also don't play on those servers because the abilities and GUIs confuse me. And, I mean, I once got kicked out of a minigame for crafting because it was cheating. Crafting is like half the game. I don't understand it. Also, you can disable crafting using, like, there's a game mode that you can use to disable crafting. So, why don't they just do that instead of kicking people? Anyway, next question. Who is future Javamonk? Yeah, I can't answer that. Only he can, and he's not here right now. Although, fun fact, I am planning to interview him at some point. So, kind of that'll come soon, hopefully. Next question. What is your real name? Now, I'm not going to tell you that in a video. If we meet in person, then I can tell you. Now, my question for you. What is your real quest? And next question is also somewhat related to that is, where do you live? I'm not going to tell you that. I am going to tell you, since it has to do with live stream scheduling, that I live in America in Pacific time zone. If you want more detail, I live in the home state of The Simpsons. I am okay with meeting a fan in person, but I'm not going to make it easy to find me. Next question. How do you choose your music? I have pretty much all the music from C418 and Big Giant Circles. I know from their web pages that I have permission to use their music in my time lapses and videos. And if for whatever reason they come back and say that I don't have permission, then I'll just remove the music. It's not a big deal. And I actually have an informal rule on my channel that I don't reuse the same song in different time lapses. I have like 500 songs, so I don't need to. I also don't have lyrics in my time lapses because I don't think that fits my style. Also, lyrics get weird with the family friendliness of my channel, so it's best not to have them at all. Also, I also try to avoid some of C418's older songs because he actually cusses in the titles of the songs, and that kind of violates the no cussing rule on my channel. Next up, how much of these episodes do you plan out? Now this is interesting. So, episodes 42 and 50 were goals right from the beginning. I wanted to 3D print an island, and I wanted to move a mansion. Those are two things that I wanted to do at some point in the series. When? Well, that just showed up. That plan kind of came around at around episode 25. So I try to plan as far ahead as possible. And the plans are just end goals. And I write down these plans on my phone. So, but to actually get to those end goals, I just wing it. This is all mostly improvised. In the case of these countdown episodes, I've been planning out the end goal since around episode 50. And it's pretty much up to my improvisation abilities now to make them 20-minute episodes. Or more. Or maybe even less. Speaking of episodes, how many episode plans have failed before they became episodes? So, there's a few episode plans that totally failed before they even became any kind of concrete idea. So, for example, I originally planned to have 104 episodes in the series, with one being posted every week for 2 years straight. Episode 50 was supposed to have the mansion moving, and episode 52 was supposed to be an episode where I built a full-scale Parthenon. The Parthenon was too large, was too much, so I scaled it down. And also, 104 episodes is not exactly a round number, so I scaled it back to 100 episodes. I figured triple digits is pretty good. It's already pretty impressive. So, because I had originally a bunch more episodes planned out, there was a plan to build a Jurassic Park-like place where every block and mob is a gigantic pixel art of the actual block or mob, complete with a giant mantis shrimp overlord. It's a cool idea, but maybe later. And if you don't know what a mantis shrimp is, here's a comic from the Oatmeal that explains everything. Link is on screen. Last two questions, here we go. First one, what do you use Twitter for? At first I used my Twitter to post about live streams. But now that I haven't done live streams in a while, my Twitter is pretty quiet. Now, recently, I started a Spoilers Without Context series for my upcoming videos. Essentially, I post an out-of-context screenshot of something from the next video, and then other people try to guess what the episode is about. It's fun, but I haven't really gotten many responses. My Twitter is @JavamonkYT if you want to get in on the fun. And last question as I fly back in the time-lapse, can you ring the bell in the Sky Village? Sure thing. I keep walking past that bell, but it seems I've never run it ever since it seems I unleashed Nyan Cat in my world. Let's see what other cursed things appear. I'd like to state for the record that if ringing this bell gets future Javamonk mad at me again, it's all your fault. Mr. Anonymous question.
I'm Batman.
Yeah. That wasn't so bad. And the final pieces of the map wall are going in. There's finishing that second to the last row, and then this row right here is going to be finished. Just like this. So that time lapse was quite frustrating to make, but the Q&A was pretty good. And yeah, I did actually put some banners in here. So for example, there's the ominous banner for the Pillager Outpost, and in fact, yeah, some of these spots are actual villages that generated. Plus, I did actually run into the witch farm. Yeah, right there, witch farm. So there's lots of interesting indicators on this maps, and I actually just learned about that feature where you can right-click with the banner and it puts a marker on the map. So that's super cool. And now we can take down the scaffolding, because now the map wall is complete. Let's clean up the scaffolding before we take a screenshot. Man, scaffolding is so useful. Alright, and screenshot. Bam! Map wall is done. So I wanted to show on screen what I've been doing with putting up the banner or the map markers. So here I am with the magenta banner that I stole from an end city, which I'm just gonna clean off and name to be, for example, the episode 64 area. So there we go. And I'm gonna put these banners around the world and also place in some maps, because as I was flying around, I also realized that there were some areas of the world that I have not updated yet with the maps. Because turns out maps do not automatically update, which I guess is a good thing, because otherwise it would cause absolutely horrendous lag, kind of like perpetually being in Riptide. Here I am at spawn point. I intentionally killed myself so that I could, and also broke my bed, so that way I can directly mark where spawn point is. And since this is where things like sand or dragon eggs coming from the end would land, I'm putting the banner right next to it. There we go. World spawn is marked. So, next place to mark is the episode 64 area, and then we gotta go into the nether and head off to the ice farm. But first, this just doesn't get old. Doesn't matter how laggy it is, that just does not get old. Tridents are awesome. Welcome to the ice farm and tree farm area. I spent an entire episode building up this tree farm, and turns out it really doesn't work all that well. I planned to complete the tree farm off camera, but then just, I guess, never got around to it. So, here we go. This is the ice farm and tree farm. Let's just hang up this banner here. How about right in between the two farms? Right. Let's just hang it off of this. There we go. And this is the map we need. There we go. So that's the ice farm slash tree farm. And over here is the stronghold slash shulker elevator. So let's just jump right down here. Splash down. And might as well, you just place the banner right there. And stronghold. There we go. And since I'm not wearing Thorn's armor, we get to use this super cool elevator that I built in episode 83. It's a shulker elevator. So up we go, and whoops. And eventually the shulkers will figure out that they should be mad at me, because I transported them away from their home world. And yeah, if you're wondering how in the world these shulkers turned bright purple, it's, well, it took some time travel. Episode 62. And we're up. Alright, super cool shulker elevator. It's also the slowest elevator in the world, but it's certainly the coolest. Okay, we can put these maps back in the map wall now, and let's see. I really can't think of any other markers to place within the map area. I mean, yeah, we have the big jungle, we have the mushroom island actually in the map, which is quite interesting. So pretty much everything else has been mapped out and indicated, including the raid village, which had raids that were so bad that only one villager survived. And actually, that's gonna do it for this episode. Nice and short, and mainly because quite a bit of effort went into the Q&A, which I do hope you enjoyed that, and maybe found whatever I said interesting in some way. So, thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please let me know, and I'll see you next time.